Odisha, a shrine of spirituality. Odisha, a land of life-affirming biodiversity. Odisha, a pilgrimage for culture and crafts. A biodiversity that is threatened with extinction by multiple factors. A challenge squarely met by the local communities. An amazing conservation effort by the very ordinary citizens determined to save their land and life. This has made Odisha a contemporary core of community conservation. As the dawn breaks on the village Maneshwar in the Sambalpur district of Odisha, spiritual chants rent the air. The 1,000-year-old temple rings with the praises to the Lord. The presiding deity here is Kurma, turtle, an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, the Lord of conservation among the Hindu trinity. Unlike other temples, the worship does not end with a stone god. The real turtles are objects of worship in this temple. After calling the gods through his chants, the priest is now busy calling out the turtles in the 1,000-year-old temple pond. His prayers are answered here. The turtle god appears in flesh and blood in response to the priest's call. This god in flesh and blood is fed with the day's offerings by the priest.
पूजा आम करूँ कार्तिक चतुर्दशी दिन महाप्रभु बैठा परिक्रमा करी आसिक घाट पूजा करूँ कैंची मान को पूजा दूँ प्रथम प्रहर जो पूजाटा हुए खिचड़ी खावा को दिया जाए से बेला महाप्रभु दैनंदिन खिचड़ी भोग हुए कैसे बना आसिक खाती वर्षा दिन खरा दिन जमी रहते बंधर रुहति जदि बेसी वर्षा हुए नदी बढ़ी आसले बंध हिड़ समान हो जाए बढ़ी पानी से भासी जाते नदी को नई पुणी फेर चली आसती मंदिर बंध को.
When not being fed by the temple, the turtles live off planktons, detritus material and other aquatic plants in the serene environment of the temple pond. No one bothers them. They feel totally safe here. Their coexistence with the village community is completely harmonious. They both share the water from the pond without harming each other. This is the true essence of community conservation. People and animals living together with respect for each other, living and letting live. In the Champeshwar village of Cuttack district, the scene is similar but more fascinating. An awesome sight of dozens of turtles competing with each other and rushing to feed on the bhog, temple offerings, is a daily ritual here. In Champeshwar, the concept of living together takes far deeper dimensions. As the turtles eat, the temple priest bathes within a meter's distance. He walks among them, and the turtles are neither disturbed nor bothered. They are happy eating the rice from the temple and let people and animals bathe alongside. As the turtle population elsewhere dwindles, in Maneshwar and Champeshwar they increase by the year, a result of one of the finest conservation efforts.
ସବୁ ତାଙ୍କ ସମୟ ହେଇଗଲେ ବାହାରିକି ବନ୍ଧକୁ ପଳେଇ ଆସନ୍ତି ଫେର ଆଉ କେହି ତାଙ୍କ ପ୍ରତି ଦୁଷ୍ଟାମି କରନ୍ତିନି.
Not prompted by outsiders or the government, but founded on people's faith and belief, by local spiritual traditions.
ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଅବତାର ନେଇ କଶ୍ୟପର ଧାରଣ କରିଥିଲେ ଭଗବାନ, ସେଥି ସକାଶେ ଲୋକ କେହି ଖାଉନାହାନ୍ତି, ତାକୁ ମାନନ୍ତି, ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ବାହାରେ ପାଇଲେ ତାକୁ ଆଣିକି ବନ୍ଧରେ ଛାଡ଼ି ଦିଅନ୍ତି.
Another morning, another worship, and the time for the priest to come and call out for the turtles. And there will surely be many turtles answering his call, because in Maneshwar and Champeshwar, turtle population will never dwindle. They live under the cover of protection offered to them by the community. Village Buguda wakes up to another morning. The cattle are out to graze in the nearby hills. The ducks take to water, and goat herds drive their flock to their pastures. This village looks like any other, though a bit more picturesque than most villages. But soon you're bound to look at this village with a sense of wonder, as some of the proudest blackbucks strut across your sight. How can a farming community, to which a proliferation of deer and antelopes tolls a death knell, welcome these animals in their midst? These animals are known to destroy all the crops overnight and leave the farmers high and dry, But the images in Buguda village offer a completely different story. You're presented with an unbelievable sight where farmers and herders live cheek by jowl with the blackbucks, almost reminding of the sights of African parks where the Maasai pastoralists drive their cattle amidst a host of wildlife. However, unlike Africa, Buguda is a farming village. Raising rice is the major food and livelihood option for Buguda's population. When the young seedlings of paddy come up, they make a great fodder for the blackbucks. The time for the paddy seedlings coincides with the birth of the blackbuck kids. The young kids are voracious eaters of the paddy seedlings. People understand this phenomenon very well, but in a very sophisticated way they clearly distinguish between the blackbuck grazing and the grazing by the village cattle.
जे छाड़ले गोटे कल खाइला बेले आगे हम 500 300 दिया तंड दे नहीं कहि आमी छाड़िया अछि आगु दिया छाड़िया दिन राति 24 घंटा आगु पाखर पड़ियो.
Apart from allowing the bucks to graze on their farmlands, some farmers have even given away their own land to create water facilities for the animals.
मो निजर पितृर्जित संपत्ति जमी देकरी बंद खळेले से माने पानी पानी हेड़ा खोला जगह ढेप जगह पानी असुविधा जगह रहउछन तो निजर जमी देकरी पोखरी खळया पे देछ.
How has this cohabitation been possible? Since when has it been like this here? This extraordinary culture of coexistence is almost a century old.
आमे तो आम किछ महिला किंतु हमर ए अंचल रे बहुत 600 वर्ष पूर्व अछि बोली हमर बापा जेजापांग येरु सुनुछु बहुत वर्ष होला धरी एठी.
Documentary evidences trace this relationship between blackbucks and the Buguda community to 1914. About 20 villages that surround Buguda partner in this extraordinary community conservation.
40 पूर्वरु 30 बेलको आछंदी आसिलाटू चासी मानकर गोटे माने विश्वास आसिला जेतेबेले माने आसिले भल वर्षा वर्षी हला खंदबरंद हला बोलकी तांके से अवलंबन रहले जे मारिया पे प्रश्रय देले.
This faith-based bonding raises it above a routine conservation effort. It acquires a spiritual dimension. This bond of belief created a community-imposed prohibition on the killing of the black bucks.
माने बाहर लोक के आसी मारी पन नानी मधे गां लोक मना करतुन समानगु
ये मरा धरा नहीं है एबे आज की 15 20 वर्ष हला कि मादु हाथी नळी लागे से भी नाही सब पूरा टाइट हमर ए सरपंच थिले नागु सरपंच हेलाडू ए हण धरा धरी मरा मारी ये नाही.
The village council undertook an extensive awareness program. Simultaneously, they also instituted a sophisticated system of penalties for poachers and providing incentives for the conservers.
Wildlife staff asle semanu nei meeting karchu तहसीलदार को सानी को nei meeting कराई वीडियो को nei meeting कराई लोकल लोकन को तार meeting कराई गोटे साइकिल रैली करा है लोकन को सचेतन करिया पे विभिन्न स्कूल माध्यम रे पिलान को द्वारा आर जागृत करिया पे बहुत सारा मीटिंग होई. समय समय लोकन परिवर्तन देखा जाउची काले आर गोटे खराब मनोभाव तांग प्रति आसीबे लोकन को जागृत करिया पे से मीटिंग ला करा जायतिला आ लोकन आग्रह बढ़िया पे पिला मानकर आग्रह बढ़िया पे तारा टिके सचेतन करिया पे से मीटिंग ला करा जाउची.
Consequently, from the year 2000, within 8 years, the population of blackbucks grew from 100 to 1600, an amazing 16-fold increase. This is a conservationist's dream. The Buguda community achieved this without fencing the blackbuck area as a normal national park would do. Nor was anyone displaced from the area. There were no conflicts and no heartburns. In fact, most of the members of the Buguda community have become wildlife experts of sort. They have studied the behavior pattern of the bucks and understand their way of life very well.
ग्रुप रे गोटे मेल हरिण थी जो ग्रुप को से ग्रुप गोटे मेल रे थी कि आसी करछि नले ताक कि आक्रमण करछि इन खोला जाय को बड़ हिड़ तड़े चरिवेनी वर्षा रे रात्रि कोट रहउछन के हम देखछु दिन बेले बेले हमर बिलवाला जगरा रही थौ रात्रि रे सोइला आलु मध्य सब पछ पछ लगे कि आग मुह जाग चारि पट रखि कि को ए धान कटा हबो डिसेंबर मास रे से ये भितर प्राय बेसी छुआ जन्म कर गोटे 2 घंटा पर से छुआ किए धरी पारे
आ क्यों करूँ आज्ञा धरले तो पिएबे से जंतु आम धर गया हम जे भी अभी तुम आप आसिल भी पिलाटा कौन जाए धरले से हण आ पिएबे से पापटा हम पड़े ना तासे कौन है तासे चाटा दूरी करी मार तासे पिए आ धरी पक छुआटा धरी पकड़ माँ पिए
से घास फास चरिकी रोच ये जंगल एरिया पाखापाखि बिल पाखापाखि जो टे पड़िया जगह थी पानी न से जगह रही।
However, the community did pay a price for their passion. About 60% agricultural land has gone fallow, partly because of the damages created by blackbucks.
क्षति हेले आ किछि आम किछि करि पारनु घोड़ी हेले त जाउ नाहंती ए सब फसल फसल सब खाइ होउछन्ती करिया पई लोकर उत्साह कमी जाउची लोक करिया पई मध्य नाराज हेले जागा सब पड़िया पड़िया लानी।
But none of this has deterred the determination of the community to protect blackbucks. The efforts continue and their numbers keep swelling. In 2004, the Bhetnoi-Balipadar area under Aska and Buguda ranges of South Ghumsur Forest Division was awarded the first Biju Patnaik Award for Wildlife Conservation. That they got the state recognition for the work they had done unselfishly over a century was the crowning glory for these communities. But conservationists, however, feel that this is not enough. The sacrifices of these communities must be not only recognized and rewarded, but also a constant incentive for them must be institutionalized so that they would feel that they are not alone in this remarkable conservation effort. Already they are facing the heat of the neoliberal policies of the government. The newly rich urban elite are coming and buying away the lands from the rural poor. The lands that are fallowed are sold away by the Buguda community. This is an unjust order by itself. But what could compound this new landowning class is that they might not share the same values as the Buguda community towards blackbucks. And the century-old conservation effort of this community should not be jeopardized. On the other hand, as the pressure builds up, the tranquil Buguda community should not be pushed into an avoidable conflict. They should be compensated in whatever manner one can.
एबे जहाँ देखु सब बेसी चारिआडे जमी बाड़ा थाई हो थाई संख्याटा कम थाई खाइले भी लोकों को जଣା पड़न थाई एबे सरकार भी आईन फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट आईन करछि हमर कमिटी फमिटी अछंती सेडा को सुरक्षा करछंती आ खाइले खांतु आ खाली खाइले किछि नै जे पानी फांडे सुविधा जदि आ टिके भल होंता बोले खाइले भी खांते याडा दे होंता.
Providing proper irrigation facility is seen as one solution for the crop loss they suffer. But the most important solution can be the declaration of the area as a community reserve. That would be the fitting tribute to a unique community that has upheld the sterling human values towards animals and has blazed a dazzling trail for the rest of the country. It is the month of November. As the gentle waves of Bay of Bengal orchestrate a gentle tune of romanticism, it is time for the olive ridleys to engage in their own passionate mating. The love and care they exhibit while mating with one another can put the humans to shame. This is the beginning of a fascinating cycle in the olive ridley's procreatory life. The next magnificent stage of this cycle is witnessed nearly 2 months after the mating. One fine day, an army of female turtles marched towards the seacoast to stage one of the greatest spectacles of nature. As the turtles gingerly enter the beaches, their vulnerability is at the most heightened state. They will now lay eggs, each turtle up to 100 to 150 eggs, which they have to defend against natural enemies such as birds of prey, dogs. But by far the biggest of their enemies are the humans, who have the great power either in protecting or destroying their eggs laid with love and precision by the turtles. It is an issue of trust. The turtles repose great trust in the humans and lay hundreds of thousands of eggs in a small area of the beach. Once they have laid their eggs, they depart to the sea. They have now no control over their progeny growing in the freshly laid eggs. Will this trust be kept or betrayed? That has been the question before the coastal communities here. For quite a long time, the lure of money overcame the question of ethics and values, and turtle eggs were regularly destroyed or sold away by the people. Not anymore. The battle for human values has been won now, and the destroyers have become protectors.
बर्तमान जो आम देखुलु कहीं लोक मैंने आनिक अंडा खाऊले बिक्री करते से लोक आम समस्त सचेतन करूँ जे तुम ये कहीं अंडा यहाँ विरल प्रजातिर आपको खाइबा छुआ धरवा मारिया मना से लोक बारंबार कहीकि सचेतन कर आमको बहुत आगू असुविधा लोक मान गोटे नीतिदिनिया अभ्यास परिणत होता से अंडा खाइबाटा धीरे धीरे से कन्विन्स कलापर आमको से बुझापी 3-4 वर्ष समय लगी जो मैंने अंडा खाऊले बर्तमान से लोक मैंने बर्तमान आम सहित मिसिक से माने परिवेश भारसाम्य रक्षा करने कईच मान वंश वृद्धि करने
In pockets of the 480-kilometer long Odisha coastline, a secure future for its marine life is now being woven by the coastal communities. It is a knotty existence for the marine life, and many amending needs to be done to keep them alive and safe. The vast bay is a source of livelihoods to hundreds of thousands of fishers. Ocean is their mother. Hence it is their spiritual belief that they should not disturb the chain of life in the ocean. Olive ridleys are the most precious of the marine life for these communities. These sea turtles, an endangered species, have made the Odisha beaches as their ideal nesting grounds. Rushikulya Rookery, where this film was made, is the third largest rookery in the world for olive ridley nesting. This rookery near the Ganjam district is also home to an amazing conservation effort by the local communities. Fishers from 4 nearby hamlets are engaged in this extraordinary conservation effort. This was not the scene until 10 years ago. Around 1999, some youth from Purnabandha village formed a sea turtle conservation committee and started creating awareness around turtle conservation. As the turtles crawl back to the sea after laying eggs, somebody had to make sure that the eggs were safe. This task was taken up by the Rushikulya Sea Turtle Conservation Committee. They mapped the turtle nesting grounds, found where the eggs had been laid, brought together children and the young people around, explained the significance of turtles to their community, and embarked upon their conservation program.
से जिनसे उद्देश्य नहीं कि आम समस्ते मिलमिशी आर सुरक्षा दायित्व को पूरा अपनार कर दीचु जमती कि कहीं जमती आम घर गोटे मेम्बर से हिसाब से आम सदा सर्वदा घर भाई मानू कहीं आम सामिल कर दीचु छोट छोट पिला कहीं कम सामिल कर दीचु आगु को जमती कि ये काम पूरा जारी रही उद्देश्य.
This needed a huge consciousness building effort and an exemplary community commitment. Who would want to trade a tactile monetary benefit coming out of the turtle egg trade with a moral commitment to save the hapless turtles from extinction? But the Rushikulya community did exactly that. It showed an extraordinary commitment and determination to save the turtles.
बर्तमान आज राति काली अंडार छुआ ऊपर को आसीबे आसिला परे कोन करियो सब ताकू नै कि समुद्र सुना समुद्र में पानी छाडियो नै 10 मीटर दूर रे छाडिबो छैला परे तापरे तांगे जिबे जेतोल को से कोन छाडियर कारण काई प्रकृति ऊपर से माने जिबा दरकार जेतोले प्रकृति हिसाब रे जेतोल समुद्र भीतर से माने पहुंचीबे जो शावक मैंने जो 20-25 वर्ष हो प्राप्त वयस्क पुणी यही जगह को अंडा देवा को आसी पुनर्बार आसी.
As the D-Day drew close for the eggs to hatch and the young turtles to emerge, there was a feverish activity around the beaches. The children and the young flocked around and marshalled their plans. And then the magic moment arrived. An egg here and an egg there hatched. Even before one realized, hundreds of thousands of turtles peeped out of their eggshells, and the entire beach had transformed itself to a sea of crawling baby turtles. For those who could not make it on their own, the helping hands of the Conservation Brigade were readily available. Dozens of children with baskets in their hand combed the beach, looked for the younglings who could not make it on their own, picked them up slowly and gently. And then, in exactly as they were told, released them 10 meters away from the sea. The gentle waves of the sea washed over them, took them in their embrace, and transported them into the unfathomable, caring depths of the ocean.
सेबुठू आम देखिलु जे संख्या एत संख्यार कईच आम उपकूल को आसिक अंडा दौरान यहाँ गोटे गर्वर कथा आर सुरक्षा आम देवानी दब किए.
Today, Rushikulya has become the new treasured nesting ground for olive ridleys. A place they know they will be received with love, taken care of, and given a gentle farewell into the warm oceans. Together, turtles and the young people of Rushikulya are scripting a fascinating tale of community conservation in Odisha. It is like any other morning in Pakidi. A harsh sun glares down the village Ambuabadi, and the people go about their normal chores. As people keep filling water pots, you naturally assume that they are addressing their thirst. Until you see a most unexpected guest advancing towards the water. When one understands that an entire community spends hours catering to the thirst of the peafowls in their neighborhood, one is filled with a sense of amazement. You are in Pakidi forest block in the Ganjam district of Odisha, where the peafowls find a spring in their steps. The love of this community for peafowls is not accidental. As a matter of fact, the peafowls of Pakidi are the children of the community. Years ago, the Pakidi community planted their forest with great dedication and love. As the forest grew, it became the home for thousands of peafowls. The community responded by forming Ganjam Mayur Suraksha Samiti, reflecting their determination to protect these welcome guests. Soon the peafowls moved beyond the boundaries of their forest and walked into the lush agricultural lands of Pakidi and started devouring the crops. The farmers had an awesome response to this. They did not resent that the birds were eating away their harvest. They graciously decided to allow the peacocks their share of nature's bounty and argued that they did not impact their yields.
तेर 50टा खाई दीजिए आज्ञा किछ कमन तो सेति अच्छे देख एठू किलो 1.5 किलोमीटर जीवे ए बिल रे 4टा गछ खाए से बिल रे 4टा गछ खाए कोन कमी जीव
This wonderful generosity of the village communities extended further when they found out that the reason peafowls were wandering into their village was their need for drinking water.
हमरा प्राय 2000 साल नका बहुत खरा हला से खरा समय रे से माने सब ग्राम भितर सब पळि आसला परे कोटे कार बारियांडी कोटे इमदी आसिक सब पानी पीला परे हम सब लक्ष्य कलु पानी अभाव जोगो से माने खाइबार असुविधा हो बोली आम नहीं निजे पिला कह से पहाड़ उपर हांडी रखिक सब पानी देवार पानी बोली एबे हाँ चाटी रखिक पानी एबे सब दिया चाहिए.
The peacocks watched from their tall perches the astonishing sight of men and women, young and old, fetching pots of water with a lot of effort. The birds gratefully accepted this offering of love.
पानी पड़ने का बड़ा
In 2006, the Mayur Suraksha Samiti was honored with Odisha's most prestigious Biju Patnaik Award for Wildlife Conservation 2006, which is a state-level recognition of outstanding efforts taken for wildlife conservation. This race to higher recognitions would not make the community complacent as it discussed wider issues.
आमे धान देलु मांडिया देलु पानी देलु ए सब दौथो सिना गछ सुरक्षा न होला जाक महिला पुरुष एकता न होला जाक जंगल बढ़ई पारिवनी गछ सुरक्षा करि पारिवनी मयूर हेले बंचिकरी रहिबाटा असुविधा हो पढ़ियाटा को आग सचेतन भाबरे तम ठीक रखिले बहुत मयूर आउरी रहि पारि.
There was a consensus that the conservation of the entire forest should be on their goal, and not just the conservation of peafowls, however brilliant and colorful they might be.
पाखर आसिक सब चरा बुला कर जाउछन्ते आ एबे सब नुआर सृष्टि नाही आ कोन कहबा आ गछ उन्नति हेले मनुष्य उन्नति आ मयूर भी उन्नति हेबे एति कहया का म रहली.
This unique bonding of man and the bird was just the beginning of a greater effort at conservation. People saw beyond trees and peafowls and understood that if the entire habitat becomes worthy of life, their efforts might address isolated issues.
आज ये जो समिति आमर जो मयूर सुरक्षा समिति गठन कराई आमर समर ये समिति केमिति कार्यकारी भविष्य रे हबो मयूर सुरक्षा हबो जातीय पक्षीर संरक्षण हबो आमे ता प्रति केमिति आकृष्ट होई आमे गामवासी एवं आखपाख समस्ते.
Peafowls had become a symbol of their larger objective. With the active support of the Forest Department, the Pakidi community has blazed a unique trail. A trail that leads to a notion of conservation with profound philosophical undertones. Pakidi community sets up for us a shining example of how to expand our sense of conservation to encompass not just trees and animals, but life itself. Uttam Nayak begins her workday with a prayer to an unusual god, god of forests, Bhadu Kund.
ସଦାବେଳେ ଆମକୁ ଚାହିଦା ମହାପ୍ରଭୁ ଆମେ ସଦାବେଳେ ଆମ ଆମେ ଜଙ୍ଗଲର
Most women of her age and class are happy to lead a humdrum life of cooking, bringing up children, wood gathering, struggling for a livelihood. But Uttam Naik's life spills beyond these routines. She has shouldered the responsibility not just for her family, but for the large forest around her. An extraordinary responsibility for an extraordinary woman. The morning prayer over, Uttam is on her way for her protection duty. This forest is her extended universe, a universe that she must protect and preserve, since on this, the existence of her entire community is based, dependent upon the huge biodiversity it offers. Every single need of the community is met by this biodiversity. Food, fodder, fuel wood, small timber, even the toothbrush. Every morning when Uttam brushes her teeth, she thanks the forest. And from that moment onwards, her engagement with the forest begins. The breakfast she eats is a roasted brinjal, cooked on a fire made from twigs gathered in the forest. Eaten mixed with tamarind juice, again from the forest. Uttam Naik is one of the millions of Dalits residing in the vast forest belt of Nayagarh, Odisha. Unlike many other Dalit and Adivasi women and men, Uttam does not like to rest in a state of victimhood. She wants to fight the forces that threaten her forest, and it's the life of their community. She is one of the prominent members of her community's forest protection team.
ଆମର ବୋଲେ ତିନି ଖଣ୍ଡ ଗାଁରେ ମର୍ଦ୍ଦକଟ ଆଉ ଏଇଟା ଲୁଣେସାହି ଡଙ୍ଗାଧାରୀ ଏଇ ତିନି ଖଣ୍ଡ ଗାଁ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ ଆଗ ଫାଷ୍ଟରେ ଜଗିଥିଲେ। ଫାଷ୍ଟରେ ଜଗିବା ହେତୁ ତାକେ ସେ ତ ଅଣ୍ଡୁରି ପୁଅ ତାକୁ ମାନିଲେନି କି ଧରିଲେନି କିଛି ନାହିଁ ତାକୁ ମାନବତୀ କଲେନି। ଯେତେବେଳେ ମାନବତୀ ନ କଲେ ନି ଦେଖୁ ଦେଖୁ ଦୀର୍ଘ ହେଇଗଲା। ଖତିଆ ଗୋପୀନାଥପୁର ଭଞ୍ଜନଗର ଏଗୁଡ଼ାକ କାଠ ହାଣିକି ଧରିକି ଗଲେ ହେରି। ହଳ ଶଗଡ଼ ବାନ୍ଧିକି ସବୁ କାଠ ମାନେ କାହିଁରେ କ'ଣ କରିଥିଲେ ସବୁ ଦଉଡ଼ା ଫଉଡ଼ା ହାଣି ମଣିଷକୁ ଜଗି ଆଉ ଆମେ ମାଇକିନା ସବୁ କାହିଁରେ କ'ଣ କରି ସବୁ କାଠ ମାନେ ଛଡ଼େଇକି ସବୁ ରଖିଲୁ। ଯଦି ହଳ ଯଦି ନ ଫିଟେଇବ କଟୁରୁ ଟାଙ୍ଗିଆ ଦେଖେଇଲୁ ଠେଙ୍ଗା ବି ଦେଖେଇଲୁ ତେମେ ଯଦି ହଳ ନ ଫିଟେଇବ ଆଉ ହାଣିଦେବୁ। ସେମାନେ ହଳ ଫିଟେଇକି ପଳେଇଲେ। ହଳ ଫିଟେଇକି ଯେମିତି ପଳେଇଲେ ଆମର ଯାହା କାଠ ସବୁ ହାଣିଥିଲେ ତାହା ଆମେ ଟ୍ରକ୍ ଆଣି କାଠ ସବୁ ନେଲୁ ଗାଁକୁ। ଗାଁକୁ କାଠ ନେବାରେ ସେଠୁ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ବିଚାର ଚାଲିଲା। ପଥର ଦେଖାଗଲାଣି ଆମେ ଯାଇକି ନିଜେ ଜଗିବା।
बसिक सब कमिटी करी मौजा भितर बसिक सब कमिटी कले जे आम जंगल पाली करी जगिबा।
The forest is the pivot around which Uttam's entire community revolves. Forest is their provider, their goddess. It is to protect this forest that Uttam's morning mission begins. With a steely determination on her face, she sets out to the forest. Her task is to catch the poachers, punish them, and prevent the plunder of her forest. Uttam, however, is not alone in this mission. She is actively supported by her sisters in the community in her Denga Jari village, who together form the Goda Dehi Mahila Samiti, the women's committee formed to protect the forest.
अनुसार आम पाली कर 4 जणिया 5 जणिया जगिलु समर जो पाली करुचु 4 जण पाली न कर 50 टका जोरिमाना दब।
हाँ तुम मिलूना कि हाँ कोहल तो कर जंगल जगह कोहल कर तुम तुम मानना मत नहीं तुम जंगल साहज धरिक आस काठ बार नब ना नहीं पार।
As a matter of fact, Uttam Naik Samiti is also not alone in this task. Across the eastern Indian state of Odisha, thousands of such forest protection committees exist. This is an integral part of the Hori culture of Odisha. In Nayagarh district itself, 1037 villages today protect several square kilometers of contiguous patches of forest.
आम जंगल आमर अधिकार अच्छे आम जगियार हकदार है आम जंगल आमर आम क्या गाई क्या जंगल जंगल गाई आम निजे जगू निजे सब कथा पाइबारू टुंगा कड़ुआ मसीहा आउ काठ डांग पतर शियाली पतर शालुआ पतर सब भी आम पाइपर अड़ुंगा आउ महू एड़ा सब आम निजे अनुभव कर निजे मिसे आणिकी वंचित हो।
Such a sophisticated structure has now moved into an extremely scientific management system. Denga Jhari, Uttam's village, is a fine example of this system. They have even zoned their forest, each zone catering to a different purpose.
ना जंगल जगिबारे आमे भी काठ बाउंस किछु पाउ नथलु एबे जंगल जगिबारे काठ नई बाउंस गोजी जाबत जिनिस भी मिली पारुची टुंगा कड़वा भी मिलुची फलमूल जिनिस भी मिलुची शियाली पतर भी आमे तोली के आनी के खली सिलेउ आमे सब जिनिसटा पाउछु सुविधाटा।
एटा सद जमी होला जोटा सद न होला से रहिला नष्ट कौन आम तोल नष्ट कहीं हम हाणिले सीना गछ नष्ट हम आ से तो डंक भाया आरमती मारी थो जमी भिड़ा उटका करके पतर तोड़ा हम।
Such a management system and years of protection has seen the forest bloom into its full potential, offering diverse species and wonderful greenery. The protection of this beautiful forest, therefore, became a very special concern of the community, especially women. For months and years, they reflected upon the kind of problems they were confronting in safeguarding the forest.
ସିଏ ପୁରା ମୁଣ୍ଡିଆ ଭିତରେ ଭିତରେ ସେ ବାହାରୁଛନ୍ତି ଖୋଲରେ ଖୋଲରେ ଆସିକି କୁଡ଼ା ସାଇଟିକି ତାକୁ ଜଗିଦେଲେ ସେ କୁଆଡ଼େ ଯିବେ ସେ
In their night meetings, they would discuss the problems, possible solutions and strategies to be adopted.
ମୋର ଏପଟେ ପଦାଟା ରହିଯାଉଛି ବୋଲିକି ମୁଁ ଆଉ ଧାରା ପାଉନି ନହେଲେ ଦିଅନ୍ତି ତାଙ୍କ ଗାଁକୁ ତମେ ତ ଆସିକି ଆମ ଏରିଆର ପତ୍ର ନେଇକି ଯିବ ଆମେ କୁଆଡ଼େ ଯିବୁ
ଆମ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ ଆମେ ଯଦି ନ ଜଗୁଛୁ ଆମ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ ଉଜୁଡ଼ି ଯାଉଛି ଆଉ ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କରିବେ ସେ ଟଙ୍କା ପଇସା ଖାଇ ନାଚ ନୁଚା ଖାଇକି ଜଙ୍ଗଲକୁ ଉଡ଼େଇ ଦେଲେ ଆମେ ଜଗିବା ଯୋଗେ ପାହାଡ଼ ଅଞ୍ଚଳ ଭଲ ରହିଲା।
Uttam Naik does not have the luxury of spending all her time patrolling the forest. Being a poor person, she has to think of her own. She owns a small 1-acre farm and she has to take care of her family's food needs by working on it. It is the same with others in her community. They harvest rice from their small farms, process them at home and fulfill their food needs. For the rest of their food and livelihood requirements, Uttam and her community have to depend upon the forest. The vast forest canopy stretches a protective umbrella over Uttam and her community. It is not just a physical roof over their head, but also a psychological and cultural roof.
ମୁଁ ଯଦି କହିଲୁ ଆମ ତୋର ଘର ଆମେ ମରିଗଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ କାଠ ଦେଉଛୁ କିଏ ମେଳା ଉତ୍ସବ କଲା ତାକୁ କାଠ ଦେଉଛୁ ଏଇଟା ଧର୍ମ ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନ ତ ତାକୁ ଦେଇଛୁ କିଏ ବିବାହରେ ଗଲା ତାକୁ ବି ଆମେ କାଠ ଦେଉ ଆସି କହିବେ ଆଉ ସଭାପତି ମାଉସୀ କି ନାନୀ ଆଉ କାଠ ଯୋଡ଼ିଏ ମୋତେ ଦିଅ ମୁଁ ବିବାହ କରିବି କି ମେଳା ଉତ୍ସବ କରିବି ଆମେ ଛାଡ଼ୁଛୁ।
In the warm embrace of the forest, the community finds its safety. In turn, the community considers its sacred duty to protect the forest. It is a symbiotic relationship that is sacred to thousands of women in this region who together safeguard their forest. Women like Uttam who live this relationship stand tall in their community. The hardcore conservation paints people as the obstacle in conservation. People against nature in a perennial conflict. But the Odisha communities alter this portrayal and show what communities are capable when left to their own initiatives and leadership. People have equal, if not more, passion towards the nature around them. They do not need bureaucratic structures and strictures to engage in conservation. They want an enabling environment and an appreciation of their efforts. That would pave the way for a vibrant and sustainable community-led conservation.